Let's dig into Casey Thompson's performance and Texas's win against TCU yesterday. And if you just go over the box score and just look at the box score numbers, it'll look pretty pedestrian, right? He was 12 of 22, a buck 42 in the air, one touchdown, one interception. That's a yards per attempt, right about 6.5. So pretty pedestrian stats, but we don't go by just the box score. So we're going to dive into some of the film and talk about what we saw Casey Thompson do against TCU. And yes, I know it was a running affair, right? It was the Bijan Robinson show, probably the best running back in the nation. And so when you have a running back like that and you have that success, he had 216 yards on the ground, two tutties. You just keep feeding him the ball. But Thompson still did some good things I wanted to look at. And I wanted to look at why the box score can be a bit deceiving. Before we keep going into the video, I just want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel if you like any quarterback-related content. So Casey Thompson was 6 of 14 in the first half. 44 yards, I have it written down somewhere. 44 yards in the first half and an interception. Second half, he comes out, he's 6 of 8, right under 100 yards passing and a touchdown. So second half did exactly what he needed to do. First half, those numbers are a bit deceiving as well. I believe I counted 4 drops, but for sure 3 drops. So he very well easily could have been 9 of 14, 10 of 14, over 100 yards because there was a big play on one of those. And several of those drops were on third down. So one, some of the drops were deceiving. And two, there was some pressure early on Thompson. So the first few series, TCU got some pressure. After that, the O-line settled in, did very nice, right? The O-line had a hell of a game. Anytime you have a running back go over 200 yards, you have a hell of a game if you're offensive lineman. But the offensive line did good after the first few series, and pass protection as well. It's just TCU's defense played much better than we anticipated, and they played much better than they did the past few weeks. And so they kept everything in front. There were some coverage sacks, if you will, or some reasons due to coverage of why they couldn't push the ball downfield. But overall, Thompson still did some nice things. He did press some in the first half. We're going to see that in some of the film we break down. There's some pressing moments that he had, the interception and the almost pick in the goal line after TCU muffed the punt. But overall, he pretty much rode the ship, or was able to ride the ship the second half, make some plays when he needed to. Had a big play to Whittington and the touchdown to Whittington. That was big in the second half to help Texas beat TCU. So overall, I think it was a good game for Thompson, even though the numbers don't say it. Sometimes you want to have these type of games. Of course, you'd rather have the Texas Tech type games all the time, but this helps a quarterback mature and grow and kind of be battle tested, if you will. And I think Texas fans should be excited to win this game. One, TCU has owned the series for the most part the past decade, and two, this is a game that Texas has lost previously. Not just TCU, but these are the type of games in the past that they have lost when things aren't clicking on all cylinders, right? And things were clicking yesterday, but not at all times in all cylinders. So whenever they weren't clicking on all cylinders in the past, so when Texas has lost, and if Ellinger couldn't, save them essentially. So this is a good step for Texas as a program, and I think for Thompson too. So let's go ahead and dive into the film. Before we look at the film, I'm going to look at one of Robinson's runs because I think it was one of the reasons why they were so good. It wasn't one of the big runs. It was the consistent 6, 7, 8-yard runs, that Robinson was able to do. So we're going to look real quickly at why it was so impressive and then dive into the Thompson film. So this wasn't one of Robinson's big, quote-unquote, sexy runs, if you will, but it was an 8-yard gain. I think it was runs like this that really helped Texas's offense stay on the field and keep drives alive, and the threat of Thompson being able to run too. But Robinson, of course, be able to pick up yards against people and against a 7-man box, almost an 8-man box at the time that they snapped the ball. But being able to pick up yards, especially whenever it is 6 on 7, right? 6 on 7, and Texas is still able to pick up yards, largely because of Robinson's ability to make people move in very small, make people miss in very small spaces. So it's just something I wanted to show, even though it's a quarterback breakdown here. So we see become a motion. So at the snap of the ball, we got 7 guys in the box. You can kind of count him 8, even though he's man here, but his eyes are right in the backfield of Robinson. Texas does do a good job blocking, but Robinson's still making guys miss here. Right, watch, there's not a lot of space here. This guy's not blocked at all right here. This is your 6th defender, right, or 7th defender because it's 6 on 7. So the ability for Texas to still pick up big yards and plays like that whenever they had 7 in the box and Texas only had 6 to block, I think it was a big reason why Robinson was able to get going. And for the simple fact, Robinson was able to make at least one guy miss every play. But just a quick example, it's not always the big-time stuff, the stuff with big holes that was impressive, but the plays like this where there were 7 in the box, you only had 6 guys blocking, and you're still able to pick up 8 yards. So this was Thompson's long run. I think it was actually one of the more underrated plays in the game because at this point, TCU's up 7-3 midway through the first quarter. And this is when TCU was getting some early pressure. And so there's nothing initial in this play, right? Thompson rolls out here, makes the guy miss. Very nice play. Still looking to pass. Have a guy if you want to. Obviously makes the right decision to run. So I think it was a more underrated play from Thompson. And this is an element Thompson brings, right? And then looks like he should be tackled here, and then he's able to even pick up more yards. So I think it was an impressive run by Thompson. Sorry, I keep pausing. But I think it was one of the more underrated plays for the simple fact TCU was getting some early pressure. And TCU still got some pressure later in the game, as we talked about, but it was more so covered pressure, if you will, than one open, as opposed to a lot of pressure just getting there because of the O-line. So, again, good run by Thompson. I think it was more underrated plays in the games and was able to at least keep TCU on the heels with the threat of Thompson running. So this play here was a big catch for Whittington. I think all three of his catches were actually in the second half. But anyways, I feel like this play really helped Thompson kind of settle in a bit more. And then he took what the defense gave him after Whittington made this hell of a catch here. And sometimes you just need the receiver to make a play for you. So again, Thompson struggled a little bit in the first half. Like we talked about, there were 3 or 4 drops. Good pocket here. Has Whittington open. He went the ball a little bit over here, but Whittington makes a hell of a catch here. Goes up, gets it. Look at that. That's impressive right there. That can be a poster if you want. But good catch by Whittington. And then I feel like sometimes when a receiver makes a play for you, goes up and get it helps the quarterback really just like settle in. And that's what I feel like Thompson did the rest of the game, was able to just manage and ride the ship, I think is kind of the best way to put it. But good catch by Whittington, helping his quarterback out. And then Thompson was able to ride the ship the rest of the way, it seems like. We'll go ahead and watch a few more of Thompson's completions in the second half. So here is Thompson's touchdown to Whittington right here, receiver here. And this is on a 1st and 10 with about 13-ish, actually around 14 minutes left in the game. Texas is driving 26-20 Texas right now. So this is the defender that Thompson keys on. It's going to be a glance right here by Whittington. Look at all the space that he has. He's able to glance in front of the safety. Thompson does a good job getting the ball quickly so Whittington can turn upfield for a touchdown. So we'll watch this play here. And again, Robinson has been gashing them on this drive the whole game, right? But especially on this drive, there are only 6 in the box here. So he's creeping in, trying to help, right? Has his eyes in the backfield, even though he's probably supposed to be back here. He sees it. He can't recover in time. Thompson gets the ball out quick. Again, can't recover in time here. Good ball to Whittington. Boom, able to get upfield for a touchdown. That was a big-time touchdown there. That's what got Texas up by 2 scores. But a good play by Thompson to deliver whenever he needed to, especially with Robinson gashing him on that drive, and Thompson be able to pull it and throw a touchdown. So here's the play, or here's one of the almost interceptions inside the 10-yard line here. This is when TCU muffed the punt and Texas got the ball back. And they eventually got a field goal. But this is one of the examples of kind of just pressing a little bit when things aren't going your way. Pressing a little bit was almost a pick here. We'll see the ball just kind of force. I don't even mind the read actually. Almost a pick here, but the ball needs to be thrown whenever right before the receiver is breaking, as opposed to a step or two after the receiver is breaking. So just got a little late in the read here, right, and then almost the interception right there. But just again in the first half, one of the examples of pressing a little bit, but then of course good job bouncing back a little bit in the second half. So here's the interception by Thompson, I believe to Worthy, the bottom of the screen. But we're going to see just forcing again, right? We got man coverage here, safety up top here. It actually becomes triple coverage. This is one of the looks that TCU does. It looks like they have like 3 high guys, right? We talked about this in the preview video. Really just wanted to keep everything in front and kind of bait you to making this throw, because it looks like you got tight coverage here, but then you got guys over the top here. So again, just kind of pressing a little bit here on this interception. Guy comes in motion. TCU only brings 3. This is one pressure does come. Good move by this defender here. Throws it up, right, and then just a ball that probably doesn't need to be thrown right there, right? He obviously knows that. You look at that on film, anytime you see that, it's a no-no. But at the end of the day, just an example of pressing. Then, like we talked about in the beginning of the video, did a nice job bouncing back and not pressing, taking the defense gave him in the second half. So again, the takeaways from Thompson were he's able to bounce back in the second half, even though the performance in the first half wasn't all his fault by any means, because there was 3 or 4 drops, but still he was able to bounce back. He didn't press like he did at the end of the first half. In the second half, he was 6 of 8, like we said, almost 100 yards, and just was able to just steer the ship and do what was needed as a quarterback. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about Thompson's performance? Let me know in the comments below. We'll see you next time on the next quarterback-related video.